Welcome to Sports Bios, the podcast where we venture into the fascinating lives of athletic legends, stripping away the myths and revealing the intricate tapestry of their journeys. Today, we embark on a captivating exploration of the incomparable Satchel Paige, a man whose name has become synonymous with baseball genius, yet whose life was a complex blend of triumph, hardship, and resilience. Born Leroy Robert Paige on July 7, 1906, in Mobile, Alabama, Satchel Paige entered this world during an era of profound social change and racial tension. His birthplace, Mobile, was a city with a rich history, its port a hub for trade and cultural exchange, yet also a place where racial lines were deeply drawn. The air was thick with the smell of saltwater and segregation, a potent mix that would shape the young Paige's perspective on the world. Paige's childhood was marked by poverty and hardship, a life lived in the shadow of the shipyard where his father, John, toiled as a laborer. This financial struggle meant that Paige grew up quickly, learning early on the value of hard work and resourcefulness. He was the sixth of 12 children, and the family's economic situation often meant that he had to share what little they had with his siblings. The sacrifices made by his parents, the struggles they faced, would later influence Paige's own approach to life, instilling in him a determination to succeed against all odds. The young Paige found solace and escape in sports, particularly baseball, which became an integral part of his life from an early age. He fashioned his first ball out of rags and twine, and with a broom handle for a bat, he practiced tirelessly in the open lots of Mobile. These makeshift equipment and the dusty fields where he played became Paige's crucible, honing his skills and fostering a dream that would propel him beyond the confines of his impoverished childhood. As he grew older, Paige's passion for baseball only intensified, driven by the stories of African-American players who had come before him, men like Rube Foster and Sol White, who had paved the way for future generations. Paige's introduction to organized baseball came through the Mobile-colored Giants, and later, the Chattanooga Black Lookouts, teams that competed within the Negro Leagues. These leagues, though often underfunded and overlooked by the white baseball establishment, provided a platform for African-American players like Paige to showcase their talents. The racism and segregation of the time meant that these leagues operated in the shadows of professional sports, but they were vibrant with talent and determination. Players like Josh Gibson, Buck Leonard, and Cool Papa Bell became Paige's mentors and friends, guiding him through the ups and downs of a career that would be marked by both triumph and adversity. As Paige navigated his teenage years, he began to make a name for himself within the Negro Leagues, his pitching prowess earning him recognition and eventually a contract with the Birmingham Black Barons. This marked the beginning of a storied career that would span decades, crossing paths with legendary figures like Satchel's contemporary, the great pitcher Smokey Joe Williams. Paige's formative years were a crucible of adversity and opportunity, where the harsh realities of racism and poverty were countered by the universal language of sports, which offered a pathway to dignity, recognition, and transcendence. As Satchel Paige's reputation continued to soar within the Negro Leagues, his travels took him to various teams and cities across the United States, weaving a trail of mesmerizing performances that left an indelible mark on the sport. In 1926, at the age of 20, he joined the Birmingham Black Barons, where his pitching prowess earned him widespread acclaim and adoration from fans who were captivated by his unique blend of speed, control, and showmanship. It was during this period that Paige began to develop his signature style, a distinctive amalgam of fastball precision and his infamous hesitation pitch, which left batters bewildered and helpless at the plate. As I reflect on Paige's career, I am reminded of the profound impact he had on the Negro Leagues, an era marked by both extraordinary talent and unyielding perseverance. The 1940s were particularly notable for Paige, as he continued to dominate on the mound, leading the Kansas City Monarchs to several league championships and cementing his reputation as one of the greatest pitchers of his generation. One of the most defining moments of Paige's career came in 1948, when he signed with the Cleveland Indians at the age of 41, becoming one of the first African-American players in the American League. This milestone marked a significant turning point, not just for Paige, but for baseball as a whole, as it signaled a new era of integration and opportunity for Black players. Despite his advanced age by baseball standards, Paige proved to be an invaluable asset to the Indians, helping the team win the World Series that year and silencing critics who had doubted his ability to compete at the highest level. As I delve deeper into Paige's career, I am struck by the profound psychological dimensions of his success. His confidence, humor, and competitive spirit were all essential components of his arsenal, allowing him to thrive under pressure and overcome the numerous challenges he faced throughout his career. As he once said, "I never threw an impeachable pitch because the umpire didn't know what it was." This statement encapsulates Paige's unwavering self-assurance, his ability to think on his feet, and his unshakable commitment to his craft. Throughout his career, Paige formed lasting relationships with his contemporaries, including a close friendship with Josh Gibson, often referred to as the Black Babe Ruth. Their on-field rivalry and off-field camaraderie are the stuff of baseball lore, highlighting the deep bonds that existed among players in the Negro Leagues. These friendships not only provided support during the challenging times faced by African American players, but also contributed to the rich cultural heritage of the game. As Paige himself once noted, "Josh Gibson was like a brother to me. We went through thick and thin together, and our friendship was one of the most meaningful relationships I had in my life." The 1950s saw Paige continue to play professionally, albeit with less frequency, as he transitioned into more of a relief pitching role. His age and the changing landscape of baseball meant that his playing time decreased, but his influence on the game remained significant. In 1966, at the age of 60, Paige made a memorable appearance with the Kansas City Athletics, pitching 3 innings and proving that even in his twilight years, he still had what it took to compete at the highest level. The twilight years of Satchel Paige's storied career, a time when the golden glow of nostalgia would soon give way to the harsh realities of mortality. Yet, even as his playing days slowly receded into the rearview mirror, Paige's impact on the game of baseball continued to reverberate like a perfectly placed fastball, leaving an indelible mark on the sport he loved. It was in 1971, after years of tireless advocacy and campaigning by fans, players, and writers who had long recognized his immense contribution to the game, that Paige was finally inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. As I reflect on Paige's journey, I am reminded of the poignant words of Langston Hughes, who once wrote, "What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?" For Paige, the dream of recognition and acceptance was not deferred, but rather, it was fulfilled in a manner that would have been unimaginable to him during his playing days. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony was a grand celebration, replete with all the pomp and circumstance befitting a legend of Paige's stature. And yet, as he stood on that hallowed stage, surrounded by his peers and admirers, one couldn't help but feel a sense of bittersweet nostalgia. A recognition that this moment was both a culmination of a lifetime of achievement and a poignant reminder that the curtain was slowly closing on an extraordinary career. In the years that followed, Paige remained an active and beloved figure in baseball, often attending games and events where he would regale audiences with stories of his playing days. His humility and generosity of spirit inspired countless young players who would gather around him like disciples at the feet of a master, drinking in every word of wisdom and anecdote. And Paige, ever the showman, was more than happy to oblige, spinning tales of his adventures on and off the diamond with a wit and charm that left his listeners in awe. As he once said, "Age is a case of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter," a philosophy that seemed to guide him throughout his life, even as his physical body began to betray him. But Paige's impact extended far beyond the confines of the diamond. He was a trailblazer, a pioneer who had helped break down the barriers that had long excluded African American players from the major leagues. His courage, resilience, and determination in the face of adversity served as a powerful reminder of the importance of perseverance and hard work, inspiring generations of athletes and non-athletes alike to strive for greatness, regardless of the obstacles that lay before them. As I look back on the extraordinary life of Satchel Paige, I am reminded of the power of individual talent and determination to shape the course of history. But even as we bask in the warm glow of nostalgia, we must not forget the complexities and challenges that Paige faced throughout his life. We must not forget the racism and segregation that he endured, the obstacles that he overcame, and the sacrifices that he made in pursuit of his dreams. For it is only by acknowledging these challenges, by confronting the darker aspects of our collective past, that we can truly appreciate the magnitude of Paige's achievement and the enduring power of his legacy. That's all for today's Sports Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm Howard Closewell reminding you to keep shooting for your goals,